In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in Black and White emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our world.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of America in Black and White, where we are coloring conversations on the canvas of America. Tonight, our special guest is Mr. Osborn Oz Nesbitt Sr. Osborn is a dynamic public servant, author, and community leader whose work has shaped the civic and cultural landscape of Georgia. As chairman of Rockdale County's Board of Commissioners, Oz leads with vision, integrity, and deep commitment to inclusive governance. His leadership is marked by strategic innovation, transparent communication, and a relentless focus on community uplift. Beyond public office, Oz is a proud member of the 100 Black Men of America, where he mentors youth, fosters leadership, and advances his equity through education and empowerment. As an author, he shares his journey and insights with clarity and conviction, offering readers a blueprint for purpose-driven leadership. Oz's commitment to community engagement is personal and profound, whether organizing local initiatives or advancing for systemic change. He centers the voices of those often left out of the conversation. His legacy is shaped by powerful influences: his Aunt Mattie Burney's wisdom, James Brown's unapologetic Black pride, and State Senator Charles W. Walker's political brilliance. His appearance tonight here on America in Black and White is a celebration of leadership rooted in culture, service, and enduring power of Black history. Ladies and gentlemen, Oz Nesbitt.
Good evening, Dr. King. Can you see me there?
No, sir, I can't see you.
I don't know what's going on. Let's figure this out. Okay. Hang on one second. I don't know. I've got my... Okay. All right. I can hear you, but
I see your initials on the screen.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to get you a live. Hold on a minute. All right. How's that?
Still can't see you.
Okay. Oh man. All right. Okay. All right. Well, I tell you what, I am trying to figure out the technology here to get us a live photo of me.
Do you think you need to maybe...
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. All right. What about that? That still didn't do it.
No.
Okay. I don't know what cleared. I thought that just clicked on. I have no idea. Let me try something else. Let me keep playing the video settings. Let's go here. Video. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'll try one more.
Do you look? Can you see where you look down to the bottom of your screen where you see where it's got the camera icon? Is that off? Is that got a line going through it, or is it just clear?
Well, on my side, it is clear. I'm looking at the settings.
Your settings.
I'm actually looking at the settings for the. Hold on. Okay. I took the line off of it, and it should have brought me. You should be seeing me. See. I tell you.
Do you think you need to reboot your computer? Maybe.
Well, maybe we can try that.
Or would you do you have your phone that's got a camera on it?
I do. You're in the okay. It says that I'm in the show. Let me make sure I'm not, because I think it's whatever it is. I think it's something real simple.
It normally, yeah, it normally is one of those little things that you just miss.
Local video. No, I'm sure my device can handle it. I hate to pull us out. I think we should move forward. Or if you suggest that I reboot, it's much better with the computer versus the phone, of course.
Yeah.
What do you prefer, Doc?
Well, I mean, if you can log on with your phone, try logging in with your phone.
Okay.
If you log in with your phone, then just remember you have to get out of the computer login though, because it's going to give you a whole bunch of feedback.
Right. Hold on. Camera and microphone allowed. Hold on. I just can't believe it. I've been on Zoom meetings all day and I've not had any issue. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me try this with the phone, and if I can get it, I'll. Okay. Allow. Okay. All right. I'm gonna come out of the computer because I can see myself on the phone here.
Okay. There we go.
All right, sir.
Alrighty.
Can you hear me?
So, yes, sir. I can hear you and I can see you.
Okay. All right. Very good. And I apologize for that. And I appreciate all your patient viewers and listeners and podcast subscribers for being patient. Technology does what technology does, or let me admit, operator error.
So, is there anything you'd like to add to your bio before we jump into the show?
The only thing I would add is that, first of all, my roots are rooted in the belief of God. I'm Bible based in terms of my faith. I am a man of God. I'm not a holy roly. I am a man of God. Why did I say I'm not a holy roly? Because my life is Bible based, but I'm also known to cuss from time to time.
Okay.
That's my disclaimer. That's the real truth. I just want to put it out there. Sometimes people get twisted for folks who are Bible based versus those people who are listening and watching who are holy rollers. I'm not a holy roller. I am Bible based.
So let's start with your leadership in public office. And, basically, I guess I want people to get the opportunity to know a little bit more about your role as chairman and your approach to governance. Can you tell us what inspired you to pursue public office in Rockdale County?
Well, Rockdale County was my pursuit in terms of a geographical location. I think it started many, many years ago when I grew up in Augusta, Georgia, in public housing, seeing seeing the dynamics of the community, what happens in public housing and what we call the projects, knowing that at some point in my adult life, I would have an opportunity to make a difference. So I really believe that the seed was planted and resonated with me many, many, many moons ago. And through the trajectory of my life, my church, my community, my early childhood education, college, and community combined, it was able to evolve. And God brought me full circle with my calling.
Mm. Oh wow, now that in itself, that's very enlightening. And I appreciate you for even wanting to share that with us. And with our premise and our what this platform is about is basically is to target the underserved and marginalized communities, such as those communities. And so, with what you have been able to accomplish in your life, can you tell our audience, you know, what was it that gave you that extra motivation that pushed you to do what you're doing now?
I think it was the struggle. The struggle itself is what gave me that extra motivation because um, I spent the first early years of my young adult life, 15 years to be exact, in law enforcement. And these were not too many years after growing up and living in public housing. Matter of fact, let me give you a timetable. My family, we left public housing, the projects in 1980.
Hmm.
In 1985, I was sworn in as a young deputy sheriff
Oh wow.
5 years later. So I understood the plight and the struggle itself is what really pushed me to be able to serve my community because I'm really caught up with the understanding of giving back. It's a blessing to be a blessing, but really, my grandmother often talked about never getting amnesia. Amnesia. In other words, don't you forget where you come from.
Okay.
And Dr. King, I must tell you that there were multiple people that helped me individually, and there were multiple people that helped my family collectively. So I've always felt obligated, just obligated to give back, to help, and to serve because that's basically all I know is to help. So when the opportunity came, pushing the fast forward button to 2008 here in Atlanta by way of Conyers and Rockdale County, when the opportunity came for me to place my name on the ballot and become an elected official where I can really bring about major change in the community, I took advantage of that opportunity. It was just, it's been part of my ministry and the call that God has had on my life, all of my life.
Mm. So, how has your leadership style evolved since becoming chairman?
I realized that I served 8 years as a regular county commissioner here in Rockdale County in the state of Georgia, where as a regular county commissioner, um, which is a very important job, my responsibility was a policy maker, a legislator, uh, to appropriate funds for the county budget to make sure that the sheriff receive the funds he needs to do his job and operate his office, the fire chief, parks and recreation, senior services, roads and bridges, making sure that the infrastructure have the right amount of funding to maintain, sustain, and improve and upgrade our local infrastructure. So I did 8 years from that capacity. Then the very next 8 years, I served as the chairman CEO. That position allowed me to serve from a more corporate chief ambassador standpoint. In other words, when I dealt with economic development, I dealt with education. I was able to make sure that I could connect with the dollars downtown under the gold dome at the state capitol and on 100 Pennsylvania Avenue at the White House to make sure that those federal funds and state funds are allocated to come to the local community for Rockdale County and the city of Conyers, that I served as the chief ambassador to make sure that we brought that money home. We brought the bacon home, so to speak. And I've always believed there's not a louder voice, a more robust of a voice in this community than Oz Nesbitt.
Wow. Okay, now, can you tell us, as it comes to that legislation, like, how do you decide, how each of these districts, I'm assuming, are to get money, funding, and for what? How is that allocated, and are you like the decision maker?
Well, I'm not the ultimate decision maker. I wasn't the ultimate decision maker. But let me say, I'm so glad. That's a wonderful question you're asking, Dr. King. And let me say this to you. Oftentimes, cities and counties spend a lot of time doing disparity studies. Well, the best disparity study is to get in your car and drive in the community, to park your car and get out and walk the community, to visit a local church, to visit a local community, to go to the basketball court, to show up at the barbershop. That's the best disparity study that any legislator, any leader can do. And versus spending hundreds and thousands of dollars calling in a consultant to give you data and stats and statistical that's going to cost you a ton of money. All you got to do is get from behind your desk, go out into the community, go to the playground, go to the basketball court, again, go to the barbershop, visit the local church, go to the nightclub, find out where the people drive in the streets, in the communities, go to every community. That gives you a better survey, a better polling of what's really happening in a real-time experience, what's happening in the community. Once you've done that, you see firsthand where the needs are.
Wow. Look, I got to give you an applause on that, because that is like, you couldn't have said that no better. But for some strange reason, it seems like in a lot of these elected positions, such as yours and maybe higher, is that they feel like, oh, let me just get somebody to go out there and tell me what's happening, and that they don't like to do that. So I'm trying to figure out, does that kind of like change in how legislation is actually looked at? Because if they're not actually seeing it for themselves, how can they make those decisions?
Dr. King, let me give you 3 R's. I want you to write this down. I'm going to give you 3 R's, the letter R. The first R, real. The second R is raw. And the third R is relevant.
Oh,
real, raw, and relevant. What that means, you have to literally be boots on the ground. You literally have to be there in the midst of it all, in the thick of it, in the trenches where the people are. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary or anything. I got to get a haircut. I got to go to the barbershop. I push my buggy at Kroger or Publix or Food Depot. Depending on what my budget is that particular month determines which grocery store I go to. I go to church. I talk to people after church. I fellowship with people. I move throughout the community. I go to the basketball court. I show up where people are. I stop by the nightclub. I talk with those people there doing happy hour. I understand. So you have to be real, raw, and relevant. And while we're in this space, let me just throw this in. We're coming up on our midterm elections. We're also coming up on the election for our state governor here in the state of Georgia. I want to remind every one of your listening audience out there, make sure that you are voting for people not because they are Black, not because they are Democrat, not because they are Republican, but because they are real, raw, and relevant. You have to really do some soul searching and make sure that the people that you're going to elect, you're going to give your precious vote. Your precious vote. People have died, bled, been killed for the ability and the right to vote. You're not just going to give that up to just anybody simply because they're Black, they're white, they're Republican, they're Democrat, or just because there's somebody. You need to do some fact finding. Google the person, search the person, find out, ask the hard questions, show up at one of those town halls or one of those campaign events that they're hosting and ask them the uncomfortable questions. Let me say that again. Let me calm down and say it again. I need you to ask the uncomfortable questions. I want you to ask the question that you know everybody's thinking about that nobody wants to ask or somebody is afraid to ask. Don't just vote for somebody just because somebody tells you. I need you to do your homework.
what are the biggest challenges facing Rockdale County today?
When you say today, today's date is the 9th day of October in the year 2025. And I believe that the biggest challenge facing the county is making sure that all of our local residents are registered to vote and they're prepared for this upcoming midterm election. Aside from the election and the voting process, I think people are struggling every day trying to make ends meet. People literally are living barely paycheck to paycheck. And let me just go ahead and put this out there. I think once upon a time when we would say that people were living paycheck to paycheck, a certain demographic, a vision of demographic would pop into people's mindset. Well, baby, let me just tell you that demographic reaches everybody. That statistic, should I say, reaches all demographics. It touches everybody. The folks that's in the "I'm doing all right" category, the folks that's in "I'm catching hell" category, the folks are in paycheck to paycheck or day by day category. It's a lot of folks that you would be surprised who are really dealing with the gasping for air period right now that this country is in. And I think, let me sum it up this way. Economics and how people are going to pay their utilities, their rent, their mortgage, their car payment, how people are going to eat. We was promised that the cost of living was going to go down in the first quarter of this year. That didn't happen. We were promised that there was going to be an increase in jobs and jobs opportunities and career opportunities. That didn't happen. We have young people who are graduating from school with greater debt than ever before, and they can't find a damn job. So that didn't happen. And you have the rich getting richer and the poor are struggling even more. I say the poor are struggling even more. So I don't have to tell you who to vote for. It's crystal clear where the problem is. So I'm going to stay right there for a moment because I get excited because I champion the cause of the everyday person that's out there trying to make ends meet. And let me say this real quick. I've always been a champion, or a fan, should I say, of the underdog. But I am a big, big fan of those individuals. Watch this. Please make a note of this, Dr. King. Those people who get up and go to work every day. Some of them are single parent households. Some of them are two parent households. And those people aren't lazy. Some of them are educated. Some of them are well educated. When I say well educated, I'm saying they have a formal college degree. And those people who get up and go to work every day, they're struggling, they're catching hell, they're not lazy, but they're still trying to make ends meet. And a lot of times people forget about that particular demographic. Mm-hmm. They forget about the person who goes to work every day, law-abiding citizen who actually needs a little help. So I want to speak up for that single-parent household or two-parent household with multiple jobs, taking care of their families, and they're doing everything they can to not ask for it. And by the way, they don't receive any kind of government assistance.
Yes.
But they are catching hell trying to do what and they need help. So I wanted to speak up on behalf of that group.
Wow. Ooh. How do you balance policy with people ensuring decisions reflect community needs?
Repeat your question one more time, please.
How do you balance policy with people ensuring decisions reflect community needs?
Well, I think one of the best ways to balance a policy when you're trying to allocate funding and make sure that certain communities and certain parts or certain segments of the community receive equal or fair or balanced funding, you got to take a look at the need, see where the need is. I think it's important that we are fair in our distribution of funds and appropriating money and allocating funds, but we must put the attention on those areas that haven't had any love in a long time. Those people who are in dire straits. We have to make sure that we're doing that, because I think in these counties and cities where there's multiple county commissioners, multiple city councilmen, what you have to do when you're doing the bargaining and you're leveraging with your colleagues on the city council or your colleagues on the county commission, you need to make sure that they understand that I'm going to support you in your district on this particular initiative. However, I'm going to need your support on this initiative over here. You've got to be straightforward about it. Because if y'all are going to improve the playground equipment on the west side, baby, you're going to have to improve the playground equipment on the south side well, or else nobody getting no damn playground equipment.
I love it. I love it.
Dr. King, my mother had 3 boys. She had 3 boys. Mm-hmm. If the neighbor said, well, can Oz have some candy? My mama said, baby, if you ain't got candy for all 3 of them, not one of them can have candy. She said, because I teach my children to share, and I teach them to make sure they learn how to give. So unless you got enough candy for all 3, no, he cannot have any candy today. We can't talk about being fair and equitable without fairness and equitability.
Right. Oh, wow. See, so that means that you and I probably came up about the same time, because that's that old school rearing that these kids today need.
And I'm not going to let it, I'm unapologetic about it. I'm not going to let it go. I'm going to be fair about what it is. All 4 of my young adult kids are young adults, they're college graduates. We're blessed. I thank God for them. Christmas comes very easy for me in my household because the most beautiful thing is Cash App. And guess what? I sent all 4 of them the same amount of money. And now that I have 3 grandchildren, the grown folks don't get no money. All the money goes to the grandchildren.
Yep.
And I'm unapologetic about it. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? After Christmas, me and my wife still got to pay the water bill, the light bill. We still got to buy some food. She got to get her hair done, and I got to get a haircut.
What's one initiative you're most proud of during your tenure?
I think the initiative that I'm the most proud of is increasing the salary for the Rockdale County employees. By the time I became chairman, CEO of this county, it had been over 10 years since the employees, the nearly 1,000 employees, had received any kind of increase that was worthy of it. On January 4th of 2017, I increased a 3.5% increase all the way to a 5% increase for the employees. Fast forward it to 2022, we did a market study on the pay, salary, and compensation that's in the Atlanta metro market, and we were able to really increase. For an example, a receptionist in Rockdale County, a one-year receptionist in Rockdale County made a measly $22,000 a year. In 2022, I increased her salary where she's now making $32,000 a year as a receptionist. People hadn't seen anything before. There's no way you can hire people and expect them to give their all. And by the way, as you can tell, I'm old school. So I have a strong work ethic, which means what? I work the hell out of people. I understood that if I'm going to work them, I got to pay them. So in order to do that, you had to bring them up to the market rate. We had a high retention. We were losing a lot of people to other cities and counties. And in order to attract and retain the right kind of people, we had to put together a recruiting package that were going to attract the right type of talent that we needed in Rockdale and also retain that talent. Because I got tired of training people, whether they were law enforcement, public safety, or any other department. We were spending all the money getting them trained. After we would get them trained, hell, they go to somewhere else and take all that good training and certification somewhere else. So we had to put our money where our mouth is. I'm most proud of being able to increase the compensation, benefits, salary, and pay for the employees of Rockdale County. There's many things I'm very pleased about, but I believe that's at the top. I believe that's at the top of the chart.
So, how do you foster transparency and trust in local government?
I'll calm down and answer what you just asked. I want you to ask the question one more time because I want you to hear my answer. It's a one-word answer. Go ahead.
How do you foster transparency and trust in local government?
Communication.
It's so easy to say that, but a lot of people don't understand or know how to do that. So
let me break it down. Thank you for pushing me. Let me break it down. First of all, the word communication. The essence of communication is listening. You've got to have good listening skills where you're listening to all parties involved and you take notes by listening. And that's the way you understand what the problems are, by listening to other people. You have to have an open mind and be flexible to understand what's happening in the different districts and the neighborhoods and subdivisions of your community to be able to understand where is the most need is needed inside of your community. So I give a one-word answer: communication. And you're right. It has to be now that listening skills as a leader, as a civic leader, has to be has to be important and relative to the needs of the people on the street.
Hmm. What does effective leadership look like in a county commission setting?
I think effective leadership is centered around follow up and follow through. Oftentimes people see elected officials or candidates when it's election time. Folks are running for office and you see them at your local church, you see them in the community. But once they get elected, where in the hell are they? So you got to hold people feet to the fire. And these, let me say this. An elected official should pride him or herself on being accessible. That elected official shouldn't act like they're the queen or the king or the president of the United States, and you got to go through multiple layers just to meet with your city councilman, just to meet with your county commissioner, just to meet with your school board superintendent, just to meet with the sheriff or the police chief. You need to be able to have access to those people. And while they're on the campaign trail, you need to ask them. And I want you to ask this question in front of a lot of people. If I elect you, will I have access to you?
Ooh, boy, let me see that right there. That's like the $1 million question, but that's also the question with the bonus. Because what you're saying is absolutely true. That is absolutely true unequivocally. But how many of them do you honestly think are going to let themselves be held accountable to that or remember what they said to someone just to get a vote?
Well, I think now with all of this technology, social media, and all of what we have, oftentimes when people ask those questions, they got a hot live camera going at the same time. So they're going to record it. And what happens is people will use that stuff against you. And then when you try to run for re-election, they're going to play back what you said and basically what you lied to them about when you ran the first time, and they're gonna let folks know. And when they call your office or stop by your office and they can't ever get a hold of you, they're gonna usually do it live on Facebook or something and tell the whole world about you. So I think that accessibility is very important. Don't get played by a politician. Dr. King, that was the reason why I never really liked identifying or describing myself as a politician. I'm more of a public servant. Ask me why. I'm glad you asked. The reason why I'm a public servant, because I came from public housing and I understand how to serve the people. Absolutely. A politician is riddled in lies, just like Swiss cheese has holes. A politician is riddled in lies. But a public servant is somebody who done stood in a government feed a kid line, had government cheese, powdered milk, who understand paycheck to paycheck. I've had a car repossessed. I've been late on a few things once upon a time in my 59 years of being black is black.
Wow.
So you have to make sure from a leadership standpoint, you don't have to elect somebody who's been through the fire, been through the struggle, but they must be able to identify with the needs of you and your family. Yes. And what's happening in our community right now.
Yes, you're absolutely right about that. And, I'm glad that you did that distinction. The distinction between a public servant and a politician. Let me just ask you your opinion of this because, and when you just pointed that out, it's so relevant. When you think about people that come to you only when it's time for an election, and when they just want to see you then, but they ain't did nothing for you. And so when they ain't done nothing for you, but let's say you got the person that's in your position where you are right now, where you're actually serving the communities and the districts, and you're doing your due diligence. How is it that conversations, I mean, like, I don't know if you've had a conversation with some of these other folk or not, because I'm sure that you have, but in having conversations with those other folk, those politicians, what are some of the things that you've been told that you knew was a bunch of bullpucky?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. And I'm gonna narrow that question down to what I've experienced personally myself. First of all, let me say this. In the world of public service, public could be customer service at your local Walmart, customer service as a classroom teacher, customer service as a school bus driver, police officer, firefighter, or the person that's on the other side of the counter at your doctor's office. I've been in the people business for 40 years, since 1985. I love people. However, it's both rewarding and challenging all at the same damn time.
Yeah.
So I know that I've been called to service. I've been called to service because there have been times and moments anybody in their right mind, including Oz Nesbitt, said, just like Marvin Gaye did, I threw up both my hands because sometimes you get frustrated because people only call on you for what they need and when they need, and then they'll forget you. But that's part of it. You have to be able to accept that. You surely have to have thick skin when you place your name on a ballot, because the people who love you at 8 a.m. will hate the hell out of you at 10 a.m. It's you're never going to satisfy all the people all the time.
Right.
The thing about me, I'm such a realist, and the people in Rockdale, I mean, really, you can come out here and do a poll, and you can ask. They're gonna tell you he's always been the same way all the time. So I'm gonna call a spade a spade. I don't care whether they're black, white, polka dot, or stripe. It don't matter to me. I'm gonna call it like it is. And when people are in help, I've never asked any one of my constituents, hey, are you Republican, Democrat? It didn't ever matter whether they were black or white, gay or straight. I don't give a flying flip about anything. Help is help. Hunger is hunger. Homelessness is homelessness. Unemployment is unemployment, no matter how you slice it. So if you're going to serve the people, do that. Serve the people. So I think back to the original gist of your question or your concern. Yes, I ran into people who James Brown say, talking loud, saying nothing, like a dull knife, just ain't cutting. There's a lot of politicians out there that are appeasing people. They putting on a fanfare, they putting on a show. But when it comes down to what we said way back in the day in Augusta, down to the nitty gritty, down to the nitty gritty, people can't deliver, or they won't deliver, because they have a lot of politicians play dodgeball. You do remember the game dodgeball, don't you?
Oh, yes, sir.
You played dodgeball right before the street light came on. You remember that, don't you?
Yes, sir.
So a lot of people are playing dodgeball, and now that we've elected them, you can't get anything from them. I'm trying not to cuss.
Well, yeah, actually, you know something. Well, that's gonna have to be a whole nother show. So can you tell us, how do you navigate political pressure while staying true to your values?
I'm rooted and grounded in my faith, and I've had to make some very tough decisions during my political career. But there's never been a decision that was so tough that it did not allow me to literally get on my knees, get alone, and go to God in prayer and ask God for guidance and direction. There have been times when I want to make sure you hear me say this. There have been times when I literally walked into a county commissioner's boardroom meeting, and I was to make a decision and make a vote on that day. As I was walking to my seat, I did not know what decision I was going to make. But because I was in prayer about it, when it was time to take the vote and make the vote, God gave me the right utterance, the right decision to make. And when I made that decision, I slept well.
Mm.
Now, I pissed off some people with some of those decisions, and some of those people celebrated based on the decision, how it fell. It's two things that's going to happen at the end of a ball game. Do you know what those are?
What's that?
A winner
And a loser.
At every ball game, at every ball game. Tonight is Thursday night, so there's Thursday night football. Get ready to come on here in a little bit. There's going to be a winner of the game, and there's going to be a loser of the game. It is what it is.
What's your vision for Rockdale County over the next 5 years?
So let me be clear, because I don't know who's all watching this broadcast. I am the former chairman of Rockdale County. I served 16 years on the Board of Commissioners, 8 as a regular, and the most recent 8, which wrapped up in December of 2024 as the chairman and CEO of Rockdale County. There's only 2 counties in the state of Georgia that has a CEO, chairman form of government. That's DeKalb County and Rockdale. There's the only 2 counties in the state of Georgia that has a CEO form of government. My vision for Rockdale County, now that I was able to impact the upgrade of infrastructure and facilities with a new judicial administrative complex, with the construction of a 30-year talking about Courtesy Parkway about to come to fruition, the widening of Sigmund Road from a 2-lane road to a 4-lane road. I'm so proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that the employees are finally making some real money so they can take care of their families. So my vision for Rockdale County is to continue to make sure that folks understand that Rockdale is one of the 12 metro counties that make up metropolitan Atlanta. We cannot no longer think like we're some small rural or suburban community, but we're part of the major decision making of metropolitan Atlanta. We are a player in Rockdale County. I want to make sure that the pride of Rockdale, people are feeling good and have bragging rights about the community in which they live. And number one, safety, safety, safety. I'll give more money to public safety than anything else, because before you can upgrade the infrastructure, before you can do any improvements with economic development, the first thing you got to do is make sure that the community is safe.
Wow. So how do you mentor future civic leaders within your community?
Occasionally, they still reach out to me and ask for advice and insight. And I think, Dr. King, that I have built, and I say this in my most humble voice that I can find right now, I have built a reputation that if you don't want the truth, don't call Oz Nesbitt.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Because oftentimes I may end up telling you not what I'm going to end up telling you, not what you want to hear, but what you hear. And I may identify you, the person I'm talking to. I may identify them as part of the problem, if not the whole damn problem themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think correction starts with calling people out. And what I say, calling people, you can call somebody out with dignity. You don't have to embarrass a person to call them out. Mm-hmm. But if you really want to be corrected and put in the right direction, then let me give you a bit of advice about, first of all, my question is, why do you want to run for office? And what is your motivation? And what is your why? What is your why?
Yes.
I had a person that was running for Congress reach out to me about 3 months ago. And I don't know this person directly. The person reached out to me because somebody else told him, well, if you're going to run, you better call Oz Nesbitt. Well, he called me and I flat out asked him, well, why are you running? You know what he told me? He said, I'm running because I want to make a better life
for my 7-year-old son. I damn near hung up the phone in his face. I said, you telling me that you're going to tell the people that you want to represent him so you can make a better life for your 7-year-old son? I say, well, what about Miss Lucille and Miss Mamie, who's on SSI and Social Security? What about that hard-working school teacher who's got to work an extra job when she get out of the classroom dealing with them bad behind students? Now she got to go over to Walmart or Kohl's or Belk's or one of these department stores or a restaurant and make extra. And you telling me that you trying to make a better life for your son? So people got it all twisted. I want to also know, if you telling me you running for office, Janet Jackson asked the question. Remember the question she asked?
What's that?
What have you done for me lately?
Oh, yes.
And the question that she didn't get to ask in the song, here's the question she didn't get to ask in the song. Who the hell are you?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
What have you done for me lately? And who the hell are you? And what makes you think just because you put your name on the ballot, we gonna vote for you? What have you done for anybody? Where did you come from? What's your background? Who are you? These kinds of questions that must be asked.
Right.
I know we close on our time. I want to make sure I say this real quick.
Oh, we're good.
Okay. This upcoming midterm election, this upcoming gubernatorial election in the state of Georgia, nobody, and I'm going to be very candid. I'm about to be very candid. There's my disclaimer. One more time. I'm about to be very candid. No one that looks like me or you should have to be pushed or pulled to the polls. Let me say it again. No one. I don't bet Boo-Boo, Ray Ray, Pookie, Peaches, any of them. Anybody that looks like us should not have to be pushed or pulled to the polls. A lot of people don't pay attention to the significance of the upcoming midterm elections. Most of the emphasis are placed on the general election that will take place again in 2028.
If we get that.
But you have got to empower the current senators and U.S. representatives during the midterm so they can get better position for the general election. And your local election. I can't tell you the last time I seen a president on Highway 138 in Conyers, Georgia. But you see your city councilman, your sheriff, your county commissioner, your police chief, your school superintendent, your tax commissioner all the time. They shop where you shop. They eat where you eat. They get their hair cut where you get your hair cut. They go to the same churches that you go to. Those are the people where the rubber meets the road. Those are the people that matter.
So let's go over to your work with the 100 Black Men of America, and continue with your mentorship. What drew you to the mission of 100 Black Men of America?
So my original chapter was somewhere back in 1993, 94. I was still in Augusta, Richmond County, my hometown. That's where I joined originally. I most recently joined the New Rock chapter, the Newton and Rockdale chapter. Is called New Rock chapter of the 100 Black Men that serves both Newton County and Rockdale County. Their mission is very plain and clear to me. This is an organization that is committed to saving the lives of our young people, particularly our young Black boys. We do work with young girls as well, but particularly there's always been a major emphasis on our young Black male population to make sure that these young people are afforded the opportunity to learn how to go from boys to men, to have an opportunity to enter into college or into a technical school, or for those young people who have a desire to join one of our local armed forces, that they get an opportunity to be coached, mentored, and guided by the right mindset of a real man, There's a lot of households in all of these communities. They don't have the presence of male influence. And I must say this too. There are some households where there is a male present, not a man, but a male.
Uh,
I
I'm
told
sorry, that's funny, but I know what you mean.
there's a big difference between a man and a male. So we work with some young people. There is a male present in the house, but there's no man. And let me say this. I was raised, my two brothers and I was raised by a single black strong woman. I had a wonderful relationship with my father, who did not live in my house, but I had a wonderful, very good relationship with my father. However, it was also the influence of other males, men at my church, in my local schools and communities that influenced my life, okay? But I have to give credit to my mother, my Aunt Mattie, and my grandmother. They were three strong women, and neither one of those women ever tried to be a man.
They were just, the women are just strong like that.
You gotta let a woman be a woman and let a man be a man. Let me calm down. Let me calm down and say that. Because you gotta let a woman be a woman, and you gotta let a man be a man. I have a wife and 4 kids. 2 of my kids are girls, and 2 of my kids are boys. I can have just about any and every conversation that my wife can have with my daughters. Daddy can have it with the daughters too. Just about any conversation. And I do just about any conversation. But one thing I am not, I'm not a woman.
Right.
I'm a man.
Right.
I'm going to leave that right there.
So, how does the organization empower young black men in tangible ways?
Well, we do things from teaching them not only the academics of reading, writing, and math and mathematics and arithmetic, but we also teach them strong work ethic. Something as basic as how to learn how to tie a tie, how to shake hands, how to publicly speak, making good eye contact, how to speak up, as I would say. We time management. We teach people those core values that you and I was taught way back, that your word is your what?
Bond.
Your bond. And a lot of people don't know, what do you mean when you say bond? What is that? In other words, if I tell you I'm gonna be there at 7 o'clock, chances are I'll be there at 6:45.
Right.
Chances are I'll be there at 6:45. So teaching those very essential fundamentals of how powerful your words are, and that you're creating a brand as you develop your character. Let me say that again. You are creating a brand as you are developing your character. By the time a young person makes it to the 5th grade, the foundation of their character has 80% been established.
Yes.
Let me give it to you again. By the time a young person makes it to the 5th grade, 80% of their character has been discovered, and the foundation of that character has already been built.
What's one mentorship moment that deeply impacted you?
When I walked to State Senator Charles Walker's office somewhere in the early 90s, and I said to Senator Walker that I think I want to run for sheriff. Senator Charles W. Walker damn near cussed me out. He said, "Who do you think you are? And how do you have the audacity to come in here and tell me you want to run for sheriff? Who have you helped? Who have you helped?" He said, "Get out of my office until you come back in here with a list of 200 names of people that you've helped." In other words, don't you just wake up with some grandiose idea, or don't you be pumped up by some folks out there in the community pumping up your head, making you think you can be a congressman or the sheriff, or you can be the mayor or county commissioner or the city council. Again, let's go back to that question from Janet Jackson. What have you done for me lately? Who have you helped? And I didn't really get that in the very beginning. I knew he was upset, but as time went on, I understood the nature of his emotions, and I understood what he was saying to me, and it makes all the sense in the world. Before you go out there trying to champion the people or be the chief ambassador of the people, why don't you become the chief advocate of the people?
Okay.
You know, see, Dr. King, there's a lot of elected officials who love for their names to be recognized in the church and in the public meeting with all of the elected officials. Please stand up. They love that.
You making me laugh.
But would any of them that stand up with all of their titles, can you reach them the next day?
No, you cannot.
In my book, Fumes and Faith, I talk about the 3 ugly E's. I want you to write this down. Here we go. The 3 ugly E's. When I say write this down, I'm really not just saying it for you, because there is somebody watching your podcast that's all of what so I'm very aware of that. So the 3 ugly, not the 3 E's, the 3 ugly E's: emotions, egos, entitlement. One more time.
Oh, wow.
Emotions, egos, entitlement. There are so many people who are currently holding elected offices, official offices. Their head is so damn big, I don't know how they carrying it on their body. They're so caught up with their own ego, and they wear their emotions on their sleeve, and they have a deep sense of entitlement. You can't dare park in their parking space.
Oh, Lord.
They'll have you arrested, have your vehicle towed away. You better not dare call them, acknowledge them without calling their title. Commissioner so-and-so, Mayor so-and-so, Chief so-and-so, Councilman so-and-so. They get so caught up in the hoopla of the public acknowledgement, they forget about the service of what they're supposed to be called to do. Just like the preachers. Some was called, some was sent, and some just went.
Let's talk a little bit about your work here as an author and a storyteller. We should have done this a whole lot sooner. I hate we had to wait to this time to actually get your book.
Everything happens for a reason. His timing is always on time.
What inspired you to become an author?
I wanted to share my story because I realized my story really isn't unique. However, there's a lot of people who, for whatever reason, they're a little bit timid or afraid, maybe even embarrassed to share their stories. There's a lot of people in some very powerful places who came from public housing, but you would never know it because they would never tell it. They will never share it because they are ashamed to say that they came from the other side of the tracks. So I wanted my story to be able to be inspiring and empowering to so many different people, not just young people, but people, period, who think just because of where they came from, they can't make a difference. And I also wanted to be able to share a real life story about the real life struggle. I've been on the top of my game on the mountain, and I've been at the pit of the valley. Absolutely. And through all of that, whether I was the top of the mountain or the pit of the valley, let me tell you, it remained the same. The God that I serve.
Mm-hmm.
Not only the God I serve remained the same, he allowed me to be at the top, the pinnacle of the mountain, the peak of the mountain,
Mm-hmm.
and the pit of the valley.
Mm-hmm.
Because in each experience, he was teaching me. He was preparing me for the next opportunity. And I think by sharing my story, you know, people say all the time, Dr. King, just keep the faith. Just keep the faith. You hang in there. Just keep the faith. Well, that has turned into a cliche.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds good to say, just keep the faith. It ain't that easy. Now, let me be clear. You have to keep the faith. You must keep believing that God is going to do what he's going to do, because I'm here to tell you, he is going to do what he's going to do. But I will also tell you, it ain't easy. Because when you're waiting on money, when you're waiting on opportunity, when you're waiting for things to come to fruition, and it seems like it's just not going to happen, it does, because you're human. And the God we serve knows that we are human. But you still have to hold on to your faith. You have to hold on to your trust and your belief. And sometimes God will let me be very clear. Oftentimes when God gets ready to bless us, he makes us uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Somebody missed that. Somebody missed that. Let me say that again. Oftentimes when the Lord gets ready to bless you, he makes you uncomfortable. All I'm encouraging you to do is just hang in there. And the closer you get to the finish line, the more pain you're going to experience. But I'm telling you, run, run, run. Stay in the race. Right when it's an indicate, when all hell begins to break loose in your life, that is an indicator that God is just around the corner. You got to hold on. You got to cut out the distractions and the interruptions. One more time. You got to cut out the distractions and the interruptions so that you can stay focused. Because right when your breakthrough is getting ready to come, that's when the distractions, that's when the interruptions show up at the most. That's when the enemy works the hardest.
Mm.
Whatever you announce into the atmosphere, whatever you put out into the atmosphere, I'm a believer that if you say I'm gonna lose weight, if you say it out loud, that's when ice cream and Snicker bars and Oreos and Doritos, all that stuff just comes at your heart. When you say I'm gonna stop drinking, that's when all your buddies start calling you, inviting you to events and activities. You have got to use some discipline. You got to stay close to him, and you got to put on your blinders, and you got to guard yourself with the distractions and the interruptions. People say, just keep the faith. It ain't easy, but you got to do it. It's not as easy as it's said. They make it a cliche. But I'm saying to you, I'm a living testimony. I am a living testimony. My life is not perfect. Even this year, this calendar year, I've had a few challenges this year, but my God has never forsaken me. I have never been begging bread. Never, never.
So, what themes do you explore in your writing?
One of the things I try to explore in my writing is being candid and open and very truthful. I want to make sure in my writing uh, that you are hearing from the authentic Oz Nesbitt. Just like we're having this conversation on your podcast this evening, I want people to be able to feel that when they're reading my book. It's almost like your favorite gospel song. It's almost like your favorite R&B song. That when you hear the voice of Aretha Franklin, when you hear the voice of Patti LaBelle, when you hear the voice of Luther Vandross or Marvin Gaye, it's something about it being so soul stirring. It can make you cry, make you dance and shout. And depending on what piece you're listening to, Brother Dr. King, it could make you do all of those things at the same time.
Ooh, that's when it hit home.
So I want to make sure as readers go from page to page that it resonates in their spirit. And they say, wow, this guy is really peeling the onion back. And he's telling the real truth about how he went from a police officer responding to what is called a gas drive-off in the 80s and 90s, somebody done pumped gas without paying, to becoming a gas drive-off in the early 2000s, somebody that pumped gas without paying.
Oh,
Well, that's just about as real as they come.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, how do you use storytelling to teach leadership and resilience?
Whenever you share a personal story, very much like the one I just shared, you have the ability to draw people in, and people understand that you're real and you're relevant by sharing a candid and open story. Oftentimes, when I'm sharing a story, if I share a story about my wife and I, or one of my 4 children, or perhaps now one of my 3 grandchildren, I make that story is real to the average person. You see, let me give it to you another way. If you've never been in a car accident, you can't really truly relate to a person who's been in a car accident.
True.
If you've never had a car repossessed, if you've never received a final notice, big red letter or neon green letter hanging on your door, if you've never been disconnected, if none of your services have ever been disconnected, you can't relate to a person who's been through that kind of struggle. If you've never had your gas light to come on in your car because you've neglected to slow down and put some gas in the car, or if you've never run out of gas on the side of the road, and you don't know the struggle of an everyday hard-working citizen, you cannot relate. What my book does, what my writing does, is take you to the heart and the very essence of the everyday person.
So let's transition over into this final segment here. And I told you we do Black History 365, and I asked you who was the most influential person in your life and your career, and you told me your Aunt Mattie Burney, James Brown, and State Senator Charles W. Walker. So can you tell us why is your Aunt Mattie Burney such a powerful influence in your life?
My aunt Mattie Burney grew up in the same public housing unit that I grew up in. She was the first person from our family to go to college. She lived, her legacy was about never forgetting those behind her. Aunt Mattie spent 33 years as an educator before she died. A good number of years spent reaching back and helping other young people who came from places very much like the place we grew up that needed help, needed assistance. Some of the parents were intimidated by that FAFSA form that you have to fill out. Some of the parents just didn't know where on earth they were going to get the money to send their child to college. Aunt Mattie had the belief that if you have a desire, in other words, wherever there's a will, yes, there's a way. So Aunt Mattie was able to use her resources, her connections, her relationships with people throughout the community to help get a young person enrolled in school. And even if it didn't do nothing but get them over the bridge and get them in school, she said, baby, let's just get you in the door first. We'll figure out how to get the next semester and the next semester and the next semester after that. But first of all, let's get you in here. And she would vet those young people, making sure they had a true and solid desire to go to school. And she was convinced, come hell or high water, she was going to do everything she could to assist them in getting into college. Because coming from humble beginnings and a humble background, she knew the struggle that my grandmother had to sacrifice and endure in order to get her off to Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
So I applaud and I honor the legacy of Aunt Mattie because she never forgot.
Well, what lessons did she teach you about dignity and determination?
Aunt Mattie said, never take any wood nigger. Never have anybody to do something where they're going to hold something over your head. Mm-hmm. She said, make sure if you tell a person that you're going to be there at 7 o'clock, you there between 6:30 and 6:45, show up early because you're there at 7, you're already late.
Yep.
Aunt Mattie always said, represent yourself. Make sure when you walk out of here, you look good, you got yourself together, and you represent us to the fullness. So a level of dignity. And when you do, watch this. Oh my goodness, thank you for pushing me, Dr. King. She said, when you do something for somebody, don't broadcast it.
Look, see, that's when you know you did it from your heart. That's when you know you did it from your heart.
Don't exploit the people that you're helping. If you're going to help them and shut your mouth. Help them and don't expect anything in return. Help them and don't expect anything in return. Shut your mouth. Do it discreetly and do it quietly.
Yes. That's a real lesson. See, this again, these are just some of the things that you're mentioning right now. This is what this generation today needs to, they need some of that. But unfortunately, times have changed and evolved where you're not allowed to do that.
Well, unless they stumble upon Oz Nesbitt. Because I'm gonna hurt the feelings. I'm gonna piss them off. I might piss the mama and the grandmama off because we got 40-year-old grandmamas now, and yeah. I don't have a problem. See, I'm not here for you to like me, but you sure gonna respect me one way or the other.
Yes.
And if you don't respect me on the spot, you're gonna remember me, because if you don't listen to what I give you, you're gonna have an experience that's gonna remind you of this old baritone voice.
So you still gonna get it.
You still get it one way or the other. I may not even be here, but you're gonna remember it.
How did her example shape your approach to leadership and service?
Aunt Mattie taught me the essence of building relationships. You hear me talk about in my book, and you hear me talk about often, that life is about relationships. No one gets anything done by themselves. Let me say that again. No one gets anything done by themselves. For all the people that's watching, and you've got a damn good job. For all the people watching, you got a beautiful title and a great position. Let me just remind you this evening, you didn't get there by yourself. Somebody Yeah, you worked hard. You burnt the midnight oil. You went and got your education. You worked multiple jobs, but I don't care. Somebody somewhere helped you.
Well, again, hey, look, I'm with you on that. I didn't do this whole production by myself.
Life is about relationships, and no one gets anything done by yourself. That means you have to really respect people, appreciate people. You have to acknowledge people. When I worked in the school system, Aunt Maddie, who had been a 33-year veteran school and educator, she told me, she said the two most important people in any school in America, the custodian and the lunchroom lady.
Look, they don't get no credit.
She said you better know what a clean bathroom is, and baby, when you ain't got no money, you better have a relationship with that lunchroom lady so you can get you something to eat. And she wasn't lying either. I always needed to know what that most clean room, the clean restroom. I needed to know. And guess what? The custodian knew exactly where that was.
Right.
He or she could point you to the cleanest restroom in the schoolhouse. Mm-hmm. and the dietitian, or the lunchroom lady, as we call her, the lady in charge of the cafeteria.
Yep.
You better have a relationship with her, because when your money funny, because I worked in the school system where the teachers only got paid once a month. Mm-hmm. Back in the day. Yep. You know, and you know, I'm 59 years old, so I've been black for 59 years, and I still have times where I run out of money before I run out of month.
See. So what does James Brown represent to you as a cultural icon?
The late godfather of soul, born in Augusta, Georgia, James Brown. When I think of James Brown, the first thing that comes to my mind is from nothing to something. When I think of the late great godfather of soul, James Brown, who is still, according to statistics and data to this very moment, is the most sampled artist in music history. No other artist has ever been sampled by their music more than James Brown. James Brown came from absolutely nothing. If you ever studied the story of James Brown, you would have instant appreciation for someone that went against every odd imaginable. And he rose to become the most recognizable name in music. If Michael Jackson was here, he'd say the same thing. If Prince was here, he'd say the same thing. If Jimi Hendrix was here, he'd say the same thing. James Brown influenced MC Hammer. He influenced so many other artists that's out there even today. He came from dirt, from absolutely nothing. So because I just happened to be from Augusta, Georgia, the hometown of James Brown, it was easy for me to identify, because it was a treat for me to see, growing up in public housing in the projects. Every now and then, guess who would drive through? The godfather of soul, this major world icon, James Brown. Guess who would give out turkeys to the community year after year after year? And his family, by the way, still does it every Thanksgiving. They give over 1,000 turkeys to the community, particularly to the senior citizens, because as you know, Dr. King, the turkey is the most expensive part of the Thanksgiving meal.
Yes, it is.
So here's a man who rose to a status in life, but never forgot where he came from.
How has his legacy of Black pride and self-determination influenced your work?
But James Brown, if you do the history, on the night that Dr. King was assassinated, James Brown was scheduled to do a concert in Boston, Massachusetts. The word got around that Dr. King had been assassinated, and the crowd broke out, filled with emotions, as you can imagine. It took the mayor and the governor and the law enforcement officials of that community to call on James Brown to take to the stage to bring calm and order to the people. Had Mr. Brown not been present at that moment, there would have been more rioting and looting in the community, and it would have been more violence. Mr. Brown was able to get the control of the crowd and proceed with the concert. His influence, and because he knew how to speak the people's language, he knew how to resonate with the people. I told you earlier about being real, raw, and relevant. One of the things I remember Mr. Brown saying was, represent yourself. And he would often say to people that would interview him, he'd say, now listen, don't you make me get outside of myself. In other words, don't you make me act a fool. I don't want to act like somebody that I don't want to show the world that other side of me. So Mr. Brown would encourage people to represent themselves. In other words, have some self-control, have some dignity. So he represented the common struggle of the everyday man and that everyday dreamer. Watch this. That everyday entrepreneur, that person that wants to open a business, wants to write a book, who wants to write a song, that person who wants to go to college, that person who wants to do something major in his or her life. Mr. Brown said, yes, you can.
So, what did State Senator Charles W. Walker teach you about political strategy?
Senator Walker embraced the slogan of Shirley Chisholm when he said, he embraced the slogan of Hosea Williams when he said, unbought and unbossed. Senator Walker, Senator Charles W. Walker in my young adult life was the first Black millionaire that I ever met. He was the first Black person that I heard in an everyday real life situation use that terminology, that phrase, unbought and unbossed. In other words, you can't buy me out, and I'm not a sellout, and I'm my own damn boss. I work for myself every day in and day out. So having been Senator Walker, who was one of 14 siblings from rural Burke County, Waynesboro Country, Georgia, able to move and transition to Augusta, Richmond County when his family basically, if you know his story, they escaped from Burke County, Georgia in the wee hours of the night because his daddy had knocked the hell out of a white man. And he knocked the hell out of a white man because the white man disrespected his wife, which was Senator Walker's mother. And you knew after the elder Mr. Walker knocked the hell out of that white man, you knew the Walkers had to get the hell out of Burke County quick.
Okay. Y'all got to move. Gotta move.
We gotta go. We gotta move, baby. So Senator Walker never stopped running.
So
he ran all the way to the state capitol in the state of Georgia and became the third most powerful man in state politics by becoming the Senate majority leader in the 90s under the in the early 2000s under the Roy Barnes administration.
Final question for you. How do you carry Walker's legacy into your own public service?
In June of 1985, I was 18 years old and immediately 150 pounds. After a conversation with Aunt Maddie about my next career move in life, she contacted, at that time, State Representative Charles Walker. State Representative Charles Walker invited me down to his office. After smoking me over, checking me out, and having a little bit of a conversation with me, he turned around to the telephone on the console behind his desk and pressed one button. On the other side of that phone was the sheriff of Richmond County, a man by the name of Charlie Webster. Senator Walker said to Charlie Webster, "Sheriff, I got a young man that'll make us a fine deputy." And the sheriff replied, "That's what we need, another fine deputy. Send him on down here."
Wow.
Senator Walker opened the door of opportunity for me for politics, people, and community service, and gave me the pathway to my political career and my career in political service on a professional level. I will always be indebted and loyal to Senator Walker for giving me that opportunity. And how I carry the legacy of Senator Charles W. Walker, every opportunity that I've had a chance to open the door for anybody coming into my office or into my space, I created and I facilitated an opportunity because I never forgot somebody helped me.
Mm. So, in closing, what are some words of wisdom and encouragement that you'd like to leave for our audience? Tell them how to connect with you on your social media, your website, how to buy your book, all of that good stuff.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to you, Dr. King, for the work that you're doing on this podcast and for how long you've been doing it. You've been doing this work for a long time, and you have become the outlet and the voice for so many people across America and abroad. And I really want to say thank you for doing a fine work that you're doing for championing the cause and being the voice for the voiceless. For those people who are interested in reaching out to me, the best way to ever reach me, here it is, the best way to reach me is text message. You can call my phone, 770-624-9446. People say, wow, he's actually giving his number away. You can text me at 770-624-9446. You can find me on social media through Instagram, Facebook. I have several Facebook platforms. I'm also on YouTube. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm there on LinkedIn as well. The thing about reaching out to me, I'm going to be very candid and open and as raw as I've been throughout this entire interview with the podcast. I'll also say, if you want to find my book is on sale. It's $25. It's on Amazon. You can go to Amazon. The title of the book, I'm glad you asked. The title of the book, Fumes and Faith. Fumes, F-U-M-E-S, and Faith. Fumes and Faith. You can find it on Amazon today. If you're interested in having me come and speak at your school, your church, your place of business, I'm a public speaker. This is what I do for a living. I teach leadership development. I'm a consultant. If you're interested in doing that, you can email me. Watch this. You can email me. Here it is. speakup@gmail.com. One more time, my email address is speakupandlead@gmail.com. Speak up and lead at gmail.com. I'm Oz Nesbitt. My advice to you is to make sure you make God the head of your life. Put God first in everything that you do. Whatever you do, I'm going to say it like Dr. King, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. Absolutely, keep moving. Don't stop. Put on your blinders, put in some earplugs, make sure you manage the distractions and the interruptions in your life. If you don't manage the distractions and interruptions in your life, they will manage you. Absolutely. Put God first. Remember, somebody helped you. No one gets anything done. Don't get amnesia and forget where you came from. And it's a blessing to be a blessing.
Well, I want to thank you for blessing us with your time and your presence today, because it's truly been an enlightening and great show. And again, like I said, I know we scheduled this some while ago, because again, the popularity of the show. But it's truly been a great show, and I really appreciate you being your true, authentic self for the audience, so that they know that what you're doing is the real thing. And with us being all about realness and authenticity, it really adds value, to have someone such as yourself that's been in the leadership roles that you've been in, and to have done the work that you have done and are doing right now. That really makes that big of a difference for each and every last one of us. For all of you that are watching on all of the 8 channels that we stream on live, particularly those of you that are on the YouTube channels, if you have not yet supported us by subscribing and enabling all notifications, I would ask if you would please do that. We would definitely appreciate it, because your support matters that much more to us. It will allow you to get all of the shows live when they take place, as well as you'll have the ability to go back and check out all of our previous recorded shows as well. Also, when you go to the YouTube channel, you'll see on the top of that banner, that QR code. It is live. I would suggest also, if you would please scan it with your phone, and you can join our community. We have a community set up where on one side you can watch the show from there. The other side, you're able to network, you're able to do post, you're able to meet other people. You'll be able to read all of the blog posts that I've posted and several other writings that I do. So please join our community as well, because we have other things that are coming that I can tell you most definitely will be very favorable, but also it'll allow you to meet some really, really great people there. I want to thank you again, Mr. Nesbitt. We got to have you back. We have got to have you back. And so I definitely would like to have the opportunity to reach out to you once we close this out. But I definitely hope that we can get you back.
I look forward to it. Thank you. And don't forget to be a blessing to other people. Don't forget to go vote. And again, thank you, Dr. King, and keep up the good work.
Yes, sir. So for all of you that's watching tonight, thank you, and join us again tomorrow night as we have a Friday special, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on America in Black and White, where we will continue to color conversations on the canvas of America. You all have a great evening.